He's the one, a masterpiece.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to today's B2B Rocks webinar with partner ChargeBee. It's welcome to winning the customer retention game in 2024. It's a subject that's probably more important than ever, given challenges in our industry. The cost of customer acquisition costs keep going up, so keeping our customers is more important than ever. It's really interesting to see how this whole sector has evolved, how the billing sector has evolved. What started out as something a lot of people did in-house and was really just tactical for billing people is now increasingly outsourced. We're using partners or other SaaSes to build this functionality, and it's just increasingly strategic. Just some quick housekeeping. So some people asked us, what is our target length for this? We're targeting 40 minutes. And the audience will be muted. Thank you, Ravi. The audience will be muted, but we'd love to take your questions. There's a question tab, and we'll be checking that frequently. We're going to be starting in just a minute here, anytime now. And of course, we'll be recording this, and we'll be sending out a recording. So if for some reason you want to share this with other people, or you miss a couple minutes of it or something like that. My name is Stephen Lurie. I'm with B2B Rocks. I'm kind of their Chief Engagement Officer as a talking head. And our guest today is Ravi Laib. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Ravi, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and ChargeBee?
Sure. Thanks, Steve, and welcome everyone to Winning Retention 2024. So my name is Ravi Laib. I work at ChargeBee as Senior Solution Consultant for the last 3 years and a half. And in ChargeBee, I work with customers and prospects to understand their pain points and build the right solution for them. So you're going to ask me the question, who is ChargeBee? So ChargeBee is the revenue growth management solution that will help you end-to-end from order to cash to revenue recognition. What do I mean by that? So first of all, when we talk about order to cash, is first of all defining your offers, attaching to them a price, and then you start billing. And then when you start billing, you start issuing the invoices. And then we're going to help you collecting the payments if you are paying online, or marking them as paid if you are paying offline via wire transfer. And of course, what's important, we're going to help you collect those payments, chase and recover those unpaid payments. And down the line, we're going to help you get better reporting and understand how your revenue is recognized.
Great. Thank you very much. Listen, I think the question we need to start off with is the questions probably comes obvious in everyone's mind is when should companies start thinking about churn? When should they start focusing on it? And
thanks to Steve for kicking the webinar with this valid question. I believe a lot of SaaS companies, they ask themselves when it's right to start thinking and focusing about customer retention. First of all, before I start answering the question, we all of us know in the SaaS industry, it costs way expensive to acquire a new customer rather than to maintain. If we talk to any finance director, we will have the $1 investment, and if you say like I have like a revenue from this customer of $1, I will invest $178 the first year, and $178 will include the marketing effort, the product engineering, the sales acquisition, and then the next year that's where we start making profit. So I believe that as soon as a company starts making revenue, it should be they should start worrying about their customer lifetime value and revenue stability. So if I want to make it easier, we can always start with the certain thresholds, like a mark, let's say 1 million ARR. That will be a good starting point to focus on retention. But I believe down the line it will be related as soon as you will have a paying customer, because once you have a customer that starts paying, make sure that you have the right strategy behind to maintain them as a happy customer and don't have them churn.
Yeah, I mean, and also I think the earlier we start, the more we can learn from customers. You know, if we do have churn, the more we can pick up on that and figure out what's going on and try and avoid that in the future. So I think it's probably important to get started earlier the earlier the better. You know, something that's not clear to me. Let me go on. What are the different kinds of churn? Maybe you can help explain that.
Sure, Steve, because it's a valid question, a common question that we encounter in markets. Because when we say churn, the first things that we think, especially from a marketing perspective, is a customer that is leaving and stopping paying for your service. But
hold on 1 second. Hold on. Apparently your audio. Let me just make sure your audio is coming through here because I see some messages there. Is Rabi's?
I believe for some from our audiences, it
audio.
seems
Okay.
Can you confirm, guys, that I'm audible to everyone?
Okay, so most people, it looks like it's okay, but there was some people. Okay, there's nothing worse than seeing just lips move without hearing anything. So glad to hear your audio is okay. Okay, keep going.
Well, Steve, it's a common thing that I do on every Zoom meeting. I was like, hey, am I audible? Is my screen visible? Because it's always worse for the audience to have someone not visible or not screen visible.
Yeah, and we actually had a few issues getting started here today, so that which is pretty common for starting off these webinars. So, okay, please keep going.
Yeah, so just to come back to your question, Steve, what type of churn? So what I would say, if we take the definition that is widespread across market, when we talk about churn, is when the customer stops paying, and that's hey, he's no longer a customer. However, if we go in more details, that we will see that we have two types of churns. One is called voluntary, and one is involuntary. So if we go from the bottom of this waterfall graph, we will see first of all that companies across the market will write off 1.5% of their receivables as bad debt, because this is a customer they didn't fulfill the payment against what they owe them for the service they paid for. So this is what's completely important. So when we want to introduce the voluntary churn, is when a customer would, let's say, without having someone pushing them against the wall, say hey, I want to unsubscribe from your service. That's what we call involuntary churn. Is the customer deciding by themselves that they want to stop paying for the service and leaving your company for the service. Second point is the involuntary churn. Is the customer who is not willing to leave your service, but for one reason, maybe their card expired, so they cannot fulfill the payment, or they didn't have the right payment for their market. If you talk some geographies like the Netherlands, if you don't have Ideal, and the customer is maybe even they start with paying by card. If they don't have Ideal to make the payment, they will leave you. So this is the key element that we have. But down the line, what we call a voluntary churn is subscription cancellation by the customer.
Okay.
Is that clear, Steve?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
of course, if we talk about the involuntary churn on the other side, Steve, we will see that the three top reasons that come up. One of them is the poor authorization rate, which we'll cover in a few moments, and payment failures because of the raised card expiry, funds not available. So that's what we call involuntary churn.
Okay.
But what we need to have in mind as experts in market, especially if we are talking about retention, is there is parts of the churn that is where you don't have control on it. So it's beyond control from your perspective, but there is some churns where you still have control and you can avoid it, and that's what we will see. That we will see in the second slide, where we're going to discuss those items.
Okay, great.
So key metrics, because I believe everyone attending, they love numbers, and numbers speaks louder than anything in the world. So subscription cancellations, on average, companies experience 4 voluntary churn. So 4% of your revenue is it's something that you can save and you can work on it. So
Just real quickly. So of that voluntary churn there, what percentage, do we have any idea globally what percentage is of that is bad debts, and what percentage of that is people that are canceling their prescription? Do you have any metrics on that, or is that not?
We do have metrics on that, Steve. So when we talk about like bad debts, it's something that we highlighted at the beginning, where we have 1.5% of bad debt across market, and we're gonna talk in a few about the involuntary churn, where we will discuss like the reasons behind and what is the average numbers that we see across market.
Okay.
All right. So how to reduce those cancellations? How to reduce this revenue leakage? Because down the line, it's a revenue that you are missing. So we do have those three actions as an expert that you need to apply to your business. The first one is track. It's what we do mean by tracking. It's about to look on the right metric to understand the cancellations, reasons, reports, why you're retaining customers, why customers are leaving, and so forth. Because without data, you cannot like act and understand why your customers are leaving. And this is what takes me to the second point, acting. Mm-hmm. Once you understand why your customers are canceling and moving from your service and not paying, you will be able to build the right cancellation experience for them. Instead of what we see in market, where businesses build static exit experiences, say like, oh, sorry, Robbie, you're leaving our service. Please tell us why, and that's about it. We don't act on it. So down the line, what we are looking here, and we're going to talk is really to build the right cancellation experience for the customer that make sense, and you will be able to retain them by personalized experience, messaging, maybe offer them specific offers, discounts, a call with an expert from the team. So all of that, this is where you need to act as business. Last but not least is to prevent. So we know customers will be trying to leave and cancel. So we need to understand the data ahead of them and identify the risks where the customers, like maybe if we talk customers like opening like too much tickets, complaining, last time they interacted with their CSM, how they are using the product. If we see with the last 6 to 3 months, the customer is not using the product, this is like a risk. And this is something that we need to have in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that. I mean, I know a lot for onboarding a lot of SaaS solutions that people look at how you're using the tool, but that's not something that would be available with Chargebee, right? So you'd be doing something with like data and maybe bringing in data from Chargebee and also from another tool to see how the people are using your SaaS. Is that correct?
That is correct, Steve, and it's a valid point. Mm-hmm. Within Chargebee, we do only host the data coming from the billing and what the customer has purchased. However, we will be able to consume data coming from the other systems, third-party systems, like you mentioned, like the product usage, if the customer has interacted with their ticketing system and so forth, and use it down the line as an information that we can act on and prevent the customer from churning.
It also seems like bringing in, if you can, having a human intervention is really important. So at this point, if someone's thinking about losing, good, great. I see our colleague there is responding to some questions. Great.
Awesome.
Great. I'm sorry. Keep going, Robbie. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Thinking out loud.
No worries. Your questions are more than valuable for the audience. Please feel free to send them across.
Okay.
So here, to go and deep dive more about the tracking. So here, what we need to understand is like the data. If we talk about like my churn, like a sales problem or a value problem, we need to understand like two types of customers. There is the customer that you just acquire like within the last 2-3 months, and then they tend to cancel because there is a mismatch between your value proposition, and what they sold. So you need to understand that. That's what we need to when we say like tracking, it's understanding whether the value that you're selling is as is expected by the customer, or there is a mismatch or misaligned. Second point, if customers where like you have like customers that have been with you for a couple of months, couple of years, like more than 9 months, and down the line they decide to leave because they see they cannot grow with you either because of the pricing, because your pricing doesn't follow their growth strategy, and so forth. So this is where we need to understand the churn, whether it's a sales problem or value proposition. It will help you to iterate and address the customer with the right product based on their needs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm trying to think about when I choose to stop working with a SaaS, why is it? And it's either I'm not using it as much as I once was, or I've considered it now too expensive. So
yeah, it's absolutely a trend when customers like decide to cancel from a SaaS product. It's either they don't feel they get the value against the price they pay, or they see that it's too much expensive and they need to grow, and there is no the problem is not addressed by the sales team.
Yeah.
So to complete on the tracking, the most important part is to have the data. And when we say have the data, it's not like getting data from all over the place and not knowing how to use it. It's get the data that give you the information why the customer is leaving, and try to act on it. That's going to be the next step. And this is like the key metrics and reports that you need to think about. It's like the gross MRR, churn, cancellation MRR, downgrades, subscription retention cohorts, and voluntary churn versus involuntary churn MRR. This is like yeah.
I'm sorry, Robbie, I don't know that term, subscription retention cohorts. Can you explain that term just for anyone like myself who might not know that one?
Yeah, sure. Happy to explain here, Steve. So subscription retention cohort is, if we talk like month versus month, it's the number of customers that we managed to save. If we start like with the 10 customers that decided to leave, I would say in January, and we managed to save 9. This is what we talk about like a cohort.
Okay. So it's the people that you're able to convince to stay with you and not leave. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And for anyone, I know this is probably everyone's familiar with these terms, but just in case, I always like to call them out. So MRR, I think, is monthly recurring revenue. So, okay, I forgot. I knew it was monthly revenue. I forgot it was the recurring. Forgot the second R. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, Steve, and for the audience, when we see ARR following each other,
yeah,
whether it's an MRR or ARR, it's annual recurring revenue or monthly recurring revenue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Next, I talked about earlier about like act at the right time. So I share like the experience. A lot of companies, when they have customers moving away from their service, they give them static experiences where they just say like, "Oh, sorry, you're leaving." They don't take an action to say why you're leaving and create a personalized experience, and the customer is leaving. Here with the Chargebee retention, you'll be able to create a personalized cancellation experience. What does it mean? Based on your attributes, information, which product you are on, and so forth, we will be able to present you the right cancellation experience. What it means, it will fit you as a person or as a persona to the company, and then we can target you with the right offers and say like, hey, we would be offering you I would say a discount, a change of plan, like downgrade and upgrade, because like sometimes downgrading a customer from a higher plan to a lower plan is less revenue leakage compared to a customer leaving, compared to leaving. And all of that could be automated end to end, so that you don't have to code or build workflows. It's just configurations that we help here. It's what we need to understand with Chargebee retention, that we are able to push the right offer to the customer. The cancellation experience has been made and studied to be compliant with all the regulations. regulation, European,
Of course.
US regulation, because what we are looking to do is what the regulations say. If the subscription process is simple, the cancellation flow has to be as simple as the cancellation flow. We don't have to make it difficult.
Yeah, and I just want to call out something. I saw someone go through the chat here, which I thought was really interesting, which is one of the data points that you guys can track is to see if someone's going to your competition. And I think that's really important to call that out, which is, if you see all of a sudden that on a monthly basis, a percentage of your customers are going to a certain competitor, you've got to look really closely at their product offering and see what they've done that's disruptive, especially now in the age of like personalized pricing. There's so many ways for people to disrupt, and so you're going to pay attention to that as much as possible. The other question, just quickly, I'm a big believer that our experience when we communicate, when we buy something like that, our experience is human and very emotional. So do you have any anecdotes or any data on, at this point with this process, can you integrate the human into this as well? So that if they want to speak with someone and do you advise that?
So Steve, what you are referring to, we all love to talk to people, to real people, rather than bots and all the automation. Yeah. And from the stories that we see in market, when it comes to high volume transactions, let's say high volume transaction, we can push an automated flow where the customer will be pushed to change the plan or accept the discount. However, for big customers, high volume tickets, I would say, we can always say like, hey, instead of like moving away, let's book a call with your account manager, your customer success manager. Let's have a session. Let's plan a workshop and things like that. We can mix here, Steve. With it's not like fully human. Human, like, yeah, you just decide to cancel. We put you in a segment, and this is like we do. We can as well act on that and have someone to interact, to have like more human conversation and say like, hey, let me understand. We see, let's say, hey, Steve, I see you're going to leave. Let's book a meeting with our in-house experts to go through your problems, and we're going to try to fix it. We're here to help you. And this is something that we see, because it's just like a combination between, let's say, an imbalance on when you want to address high volume customers with small invoices versus low volume customers, but they have like very high volume invoices that pay you on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis.
Really interesting. Okay.
All right. We just need to move on the next one. Preventing churn by reviews. Well, this one is important. It's just for you to understand the signs of your customer that will give you the hint those customers are going to leave. So that's what we were saying earlier in this webinar. If the customer is opening a lot of the tickets to your support, it means that he's unhappy with the product, how they are using their product. If you can see from your system that he has been logging to your product for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's a sign that the customer is not making any use of your solution, which will give you a hint that he might be churning and leaving your service. And if you are offering like an app or something like that, and they click on the cancel but didn't get through, you need always to track those as a watch list, because if they clicked one time on cancel flow, it means they can do it anytime, even if they didn't purchase. Because like, let's say the example, I'm on my Netflix, I will take that one. And I said like, hey, I've not been watching any Netflix movie or series for the last 3 weeks. Let me go cancel. But someone called me on the phone, or maybe someone comes to the door with delivery package from Amazon. I'm relaying to anyone, and then you say like, oh, I forgot about it, and then you move to another thing. So that's those customers, we need to look after them and have them in a watch list.
This reminds me of an anecdote. I had a sales manager a long time ago who told me, you always look at your bottom 10% of your customers, the customers that complain the most and need the most support. So these are the customers that you lose money on. And he said you should invite them to work with the competition. But in SaaS, we don't do that. We keep all our customers. We don't. But just kidding.
I love that. Rely on that one, Steve. Like I always call them for me the silent customer base that you don't know about, because they are paying but not complaining. But it doesn't mean they won't be leaving.
They won't be leaving. They're a good point. But hold on, just a real quick note to everybody. I'm going to publish a couple poll questions. So if you would be so kind as to answer the poll questions, that would be great. Hold on. Okay. That should do it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. Sorry.
No. So here we're going to talk about a customer of Chargebee Unbounce, and we see how they increase their save rate by 100%. So Unbounce, previously they use a cancel experience page, as I mentioned. Also, the time is static, and they don't act on it. So whenever a customer hits the cancel page, they are raising their hands like, "Hey, Unbounce, I'm leaving. Do you want me to leave? Do you want me to put my foot and my other foot outside the door?" So while using Chargebee retention, they were able to deflect 100% of their cancellation. If we take a number, if they are paying monthly, I'll just like say 10%, $10, and those customers is like 1,000. They are saving $11,000 a month just by using Chargebee retention. Because as I mentioned, and just to show like how Chargebee retention helps Unbounce by using the personalized cancellation experience, customers will think about twice before moving out from Unbounce. And that's the case study that will be attached to the deck that we'll be sharing after the call with the recording to see the details about it.
Great.
All right. Let's move again to the one other topic, the involuntary churn. So that one is an important topic. So we need to have our eyes on it, as we were focusing here at the beginning on voluntary churn. So here, if we talk about numbers for the audience, 35% on average transaction fails. That means like percent of your card, your business are authorized, but not the decline. So what I mean, that you are missing a part of your revenue against a service that you are providing to your customer, and customers are failing to pay. So,
that's huge. That's huge.
I know that's
a huge number.
That's a huge number. It's absolutely a big number, and we as a business, you need to be very careful, and you need to have your eyes on your authorization rate. If your authorization rate is below around 80%, I would say, because I used to work in payments before joining Chargebee, so you need to have this topic your key priority and understand why you do have this authorization rate lower than what the market is about. So if you want to look how to improve that, one of them is to go and see which gateway you are working with, and try to see in the market the other gateways available, and compare. When I say and compare, I'm not going to give names here. Just say like, hey, what is the authorization rate, and understand which one will offer you a higher auth rate. The second point, using smart routing payments from Chargebee. Just like to help you to say if this transaction invoice that will be sent out through Chargebee will be routed to the right gateway based on key criteria, the geography. If you like to say, hey, if this transaction is euro or in Europe, let's go first one to to gateway A. If it's in USD, we go to gateway B. Second thing is based on the volume, the value. If the transaction, let's say, if you go into 15K for an invoice, maybe you should route it to the one that would be accepted. And of course, like from my experience in the payment industry, it's very common to have at least 2 to 3 gateways. 2 to 3 gateways, because some gateways are very strong in certain markets because that's where they were born. So they know those markets, like if we talk about Europe or US. So you need to have at least 2 or 3 to cater your different geographies, and as well a mechanism if for one reason one gateway fails, you have a failover plan to act.
Okay, so for a global SaaS, anyone who's doing business around the world, they're going to want to make sure that their gateway is optimized for each market. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's a good practice, Steve, not to rely on one single gateway.
In addition to the different gateways, are there dramatic differences in the authorization rates depending on region and continent? Or is that something you see as well, or it's just kind of curious because that number is so high, 35%. I wouldn't have thought so. So
yeah. So if I'll take the example here, Steve. I'm Robbie, based in France. I have my French credit card, and I will go and buy from a SaaS that is based in the US. And for one reason, I was buying at 3 in the morning. Even though my card is valid, they said like, oh, my bank will say, no. This is a dodgy transaction. Yeah. I would prefer to decline it rather than accepting it and taking the risk for fraud.
Okay. Yeah, in Europe, the banks tend to be very conservative about what they authorize compared to U.S. companies. So that doesn't surprise me. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Steve. All right. As you were asking earlier, Steve, for other numbers, so 20 to 40% of churn is due to payment failures. And when we talk about like payment failing, it could be either funds are not available. Yeah, if money is not available, I'm not Harry Potter to make money. So that one we cannot do much about it. However, when a card expires or an unsupported payment method and so forth, yeah, there is some action points that you can take. For instance, if we talk about like card expiry, you can remind the customer to update their payment method. They're like, hey, Robbie, your card is come up to date. We know here in France, they give you every 2 years. They don't want to give you like 6 years validity card. Please update it so that you can fulfill the payment.
Okay.
All right. So how to reduce those payment failures? So first of all, is using workflows by automating the dunning. What it means is leveraging the smart dunning from Chargebee, where we can retry up to 12 times on a credit card, and you can say like whether you use the smart mode or you're the one defining the cadence, where it's like, hey, I will retry the next day, 3 days after that, 4 days after that, or so forth. Make sure to preempt your expired card by sending notification to tell the customer, hey, please do update your card, and as well ask customer to have a backup payment method. A lot of customers here in Europe, when I want to see a trend, is always to have either like a direct debit and a credit card as a backup, or like two credit card just to be on the safe side. If there is a failure, we can try it on the backup.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last thing, and it's important, instead of losing the customer and having them churn, when the customer is unable to fulfill their payments for your service, instead of like canceling a subscription, let's put them on pause, so that it will help. It will give them time. Whenever they have the funds, they will settle, and then you can impose them and have them back, rather than canceling and losing them as customer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. And you probably, if you're able to pull that off, you get a lot of goodwill from the customer eventually, because the customer's like, oh gosh, I don't have to set up something new or deal with any of that. So it's an opportunity to build a lot of goodwill as well.
Yeah, and I believe like we all been through the COVID, and like what the COVID has brought new things and bad things that long period of our life, where customer they were like say, hey, I'm not able to pay. Can you help me? And that's where we can build those strategies. Instead of like losing a customer, we can say, hey, let's pose you there, get your time, and then once you're ready, we're gonna just like reactivate the service.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So you asked for numbers, Steve. Today is your lucky day. I'm giving you a lot of fantastic numbers as well for the audience. Here is like the number like of your accounts with receivables that are not yet outstanding payment. It means like you invoice the customer. The customer is using your service. However, this is like your outstanding balance. 24% of your revenue is still in the air, and you need to collect it. And how you will do that? So to reduce the outstanding payment, one of that is to understand why those customers are failing to pay, and use that as a segmentation. What I mean by that, if this customer is failing to pay you because there are card expiry risk because the bank responds to risk, also forth. That's what you can use this information to act on it, and that Chartbee will help to do so. And as well, identify the possibility of defaulting ahead of time, because if you know this customer is most likely to default, you can ask them either, let's say, maybe to move to pay by offline, by a wire transfer, and so forth. So this is like when you need to understand why once the smart dunning is over, this is where Chartbee Receivable will take over, and you need to understand those 2 points and how to act on them and build the right messaging to collect your outstanding payment.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, there's nothing worse than waiting on a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah, but down the line, as a business, you cannot afford yourself to have, let's say, 20% of your revenue outstanding. You better collect it, and we'll combine it in Chartbee Dunning and Chartbee Receivable will give you the tools to make sure that you collect your payments and reduce your DSO. So if we talk about the payment failure and automated revenue recovery. So first of all, we do have the invoice that will go out. And then they will go on a certain retries. This is where smart dunning will go. We say like, yeah, we're going to try 1, 2, 3, up to 12, for instance. And once they exhausted, we're going to push them to receivables. And based on that, you can preempt the payment failure reason, and you can mitigate. So like, oh, this customer I feel he doesn't like to pay by card, so let maybe ask him to pay by a wire transfer or a direct debit. As well, you can build workflows based on the errors that we collect from Chartbee Billing, and you automate the customer communication, where you will say like, hey, I would communicate with a certain cadence and send you like a statement for your unpaid invoices. You say like, hey, you still owe me money. How we can help? If you promise me to pay, I will take it in information as a forecast and so forth. Last but not least is like how one of our customers deliver. So deliver decrease the churn by 80% and grow 6 times. And this is thanks to Chartbee Dunning, because they were dealing with 10,000 invoices every month. And every 30 days period, when they used to have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of unpaid invoices. It's for them, it creates a lot of manual work, and they are not focusing on the right activities that they should focus as finance team. So with the Smart Dine-In, they were able to automatically attempt and collect payments and overdue, and this will help them to bring down the number of unpaid invoices, which is great, especially if I would say, if you have like $1 million every month outside, yeah, from a cash flow management, it's a bit not well recommended. So you need to have the right solutions that will help you automate and streamline those processes.
Yeah, exactly. No, that makes perfect sense.
Finally, just to summarize about what we were discussing today on winning the customer retention game in 2024. The three key elements: how to tackle churn the right way. First, you need to track. What we mean by tracking is monitor your churn signals, gain actionable insight, understand why your customers are canceling, deflection rate, offer resonance, what we mean by offers, like which offer they accept, changing products, accepting discount, having a call with someone, and as well understanding payment failure inside, why the transactions are failing, exhaustive risk, account risk of churn, and common payment errors. Second point, you have the data, you structure it very well, you understand why your customer are churning. You need to put together a strategy on how to act, and this is why, by implementing an effective retention strategy, the first element would come by creating a cancel experience. This experience will be used based on the customer attributes that you define in terms of like messaging, design, offers, and survey. Smart retries help you to recover transactions by minimizing gateway risk with Smart Dine-In and so forth, and as well follow-up automation by creating follow-up emails that with communication that will be triggering and maintaining the relationship with the customer, so that the customer won't be forgetting about those unpaid invoices. Last but not least is prevent. Is to leverage the advanced analytics for churn prediction. Customer watch list, as I mentioned earlier, Steve, those paying customer or dormant customer are the worst. So we need to really understand why the customer are at risk based on their predefined rules, based on your business, and as well preempt payment failures, proactively alert clients on card expiry and missing payment information. And this is the three elements. If you want to win the customer retention game in 2024, you don't have to forget those three words: track, act, and prevent. And if you have those three words in your mind, you are able to win, and especially with ChargeBee.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Rabi. I guess, just on a personal note, I completely ignored how important the financial aspects were of churn. I always thought of churn as someone saying like, oh, I want to move to another product or something like this, but I didn't realize the technical and financial aspects of what's going on here behind the scenes when you try and scale billing. So thank you so much for providing a glimpse into that world. It's really interesting. Everybody, we're available for any questions. I know a lot of you asked your questions while you're there. There was one question from someone in the room. They said, considering competition is massive, any tips to retain customers by displacing potential competition? We didn't get to that in this webinar, but I think one of the most powerful tools I've seen for displacing competition is personalized pricing. So that's a really good thing. If someone go out there and I think Channy Varia, I really suggest you look into personalized pricing, because I think looking at the different solutions out there, sometimes the bundles that are offered are expensive for what we actually need. So personalized pricing is a great way to disrupt that, and I think is really in line with the SaaS model. Thank you so much, Rabi. This has been winning customer retention in 2024. I had no idea how technical, how much the financial aspects are there. Do you have any last words?
Well, I'm just going to ask the audience to not forget, if they want to win the customer retention this year and the years onwards, don't forget the track your customer churn data, act on them by delivering personalized experience, and prevent that by leveraging the analytics.
Good. Well, thank you so much. We said we were going to be 40 minutes. We're about 48 minutes, so that's perfect. Listen, Robbie, have a great day, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, audience, for joining the webinar.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Close to the gods, she's a one, a masterpiece.